Good morning, Southwest Florida, and welcome to the American Tradesman Show with my guest, Juan Silva from American Electrical, and Brian Prevette and Gerald Prevette from Prevette Plumbing. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Well, the Merry Christmas to you all is all over. I want to welcome you into the new year here soon, right, fellas?
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, are you really ready for the new year?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get your stockings taken down yet?
Hey, don't talk to me like that.
I'm married. There's a lot of trimmings around, so I just wanted to make sure all the trimmings are gone, right, Brian? You didn't keep a stocking stuffed somewhere?
Yeah, when it got groomed.
And Gerald, did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, man, I think I was on the wrong list. I don't think I got anything.
Oh, naughty, huh? You got a brick?
Well, this
A lump of coal?
a brick or a coal? That's right. I mean, I think I got a basket of coals, right, Juan?
Oh, yeah. Depends what kind of brick it is, or a basket of coals.
I think I got a bunch of checks too, and a bunch of bills. I got invoices, a lot of invoices. So
Those don't stop coming.
Nope. So, good morning, Southwest Florida. We're here to talk about the new year coming up. The New Year's is going to bring us into 2020. That's a good year sounding, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's 2020. Good eyesight, good focus, good goals.
I don't want to say 2020. Say that again. 2020. Did I say that?
Oh, I got it now.
That was a subliminal. That's a subliminal one. Come on,
Well,
Juan.
I'll just say it straight out.
2020.
Trump.
All right. That's right. Well, I'm not going to get political, but we know what's up in 2020, right, Gerald?
That's right.
It's about work. We're going to be out there for work. And season's here, and we're ready to go to work, right, Brian? I'm ready. I'm prepared. So the New Year's is upon us, and I want to thank God for giving us to the next year. And actually, I want to thank every one of you guys around here for the show, because it's an important thing for all of us out there, right, fellas?
That's
Yes.
right.
And today we wanted to talk about a little bit of mold. Right, Gerald? Mold.
Yeah, mold and any kind of basically remediation that may have to go on in your unit. One of the things I do want to talk about is if you live in a condo. We had this happen the other day. Guy has cast iron under the building. Of course, that's the HOA's responsibility. It backed up. He was not in residence. His home watch came in. Supposedly they come every 10 days. The home watch came in. This Category 3 water had traveled all through the unit.
Was that like a hurricane, or is that just Category 3, Brian?
It's a Puatane.
Yeah, Category
Purified
3
water? Or?
No, Category 3 water is considered any kind of wastewater.
Oh.
Black water is what
So
they
is there a does it go to levels? I mean, is there a
Yes,
4 and a 5?
Yes, there is. And
Brian's looking at me like
Class
there's a
and
10?
category.
Is there
Yeah.
a 10? Or it just stops at 5?
no, Category 3 is about as far as you want to go.
It's like a Hurricane 3, right? Or 5?
Oh, yeah.
That's a scary one. Let's go back to the water. I'm sorry, Gerald.
So this had traveled through the whole unit with the exception of the master suite. So, I mean, this come out of the guest bathroom, went into the guest bedroom, the laundry area, the main mechanical closet, as well as the foyer. It went to the kitchen.
It's a house or a condo?
It's a condo.
First floor.
First floor. Thank God.
So
it
the
was
second
first
floor continued using their facilities, unbeknownst to them that everything they did went straight out of the toilet and the shower and straight
first
all
floor.
over to the floor. And so, living room carpet.
That's more like a Category 10 there, Gerald. Let's get to the straight water.
yeah. So it was dirty. So
Was
they
that
were
from the upper floor or from the ground
correct.
floor?
That was from the upper floor, but the water from the upper floor could not pass through the drainage up underneath the building because of a blockage.
Because the first floor was blocked up.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a domino.
Oh, yeah,
effect.
because
They share common line.
Yeah.
And so the common
Once
line.
blocked up on one side, the other side gets blocked up also.
You ever go to Yosemite and see a geyser? Yeah.
And that's essentially what
Category
happens.
3.
And so you have, feces, paper, everything you can think of scattered across this floor.
When you walked in,
Of course. So the realtor opened up
this
the
is the
doors.
reason why we're electricians, Juan.
Yeah, I hear that some people like biting their fingernails.
Yeah, I don't have that issue, so I'm good. Like I said, I give the guy an estimate. I don't know, what his insurance, arrangements were at the time, if he was self-insured or not, or
One of the
if
things
he-
I heard you say earlier was that the association was not responsible for the cast iron underneath the building.
they are responsible for the cast iron. For the actual damage in your unit, a lot of times, no, the association is not responsible for that.
So if
because
the cast iron collapses in the condo and it backs up all these units,
they're responsible for repairing the main lines, but the actual damage to your unit is going to be between you and your insurance company most of the time.
Wow.
Wow.
So
That's hard because you're going to make the association have to fight with you, right?
Well, that's right, and so that's why, if you are a condo owner, you do want to know these things. You want to inquire to your association. Hey, what do I have in my walls? What do I have up underneath this building? And a lot of times you have companies come in that will line the cast iron. That is no different than you putting a Band-Aid on a cut for 5 days. You're only going to get a matter of time out of that. If you have a decomposing pipe, a liner on the interior of it will not stop it from decomposing.
And not to say what you're saying now is, I mean, this is a very easy fix to just camera the system, correct? I mean, wouldn't a condo or a high-rise, wouldn't
Well,
it be
if
smart
you
to
got decomposing cast iron, your best bet is to go ahead and remove it and change it over to
But I
PVC.
mean, they ain't going to know that, though, up front, right? I mean, it's right now you got to back up so they know that.
If you have a cast iron plumbing system in a building that is more than 35 years old, they know it. Anytime you
So if you buy anything in the 1980s and back,
correct.
90s
From
now.
a condo standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, you have to worry about how far that cast iron has started decomposing. And the biggest issue with that is your interior diameter of that cast iron is going to get smaller and smaller. The more water passes through it, the more it flakes, the more it gets these
More
little
burrs.
pocks. Yes, it gets these little pocks all inside of it.
You remember that, Brian? I remembered that. I mean, burrs. Remember that? You heard that, right?
And
That's what this show's about, ladies and gentlemen. I want everybody in the audience to understand that this show is also for me to get educated also. Go ahead, Gerald. I'm sorry.
yeah, so I mean, you're going to get these all through the pipe. And if they do not do an annual hydrojetting maintenance program on this cast iron, I mean, it's going to be detrimental because you're really going to lose a significant amount of your interior diameter. And these little flakes or these little fingers or burrs, as you call them, that hang off on the interior of the pipe, they're going to catch toilet paper. The biggest thing they catch is going to be feminine products as well as sandy wipes. So any of your used tampons or your sandy wipes are going to get caught on this cast iron, and you're going to block up a whole building and possibly cause damage. A lot of times what we do for HOAs is we'll go in and put sewer poppers on that will help to relieve that pressure before it becomes a major flood of Category 3 water in a unit.
That cast iron you're talking about, I mean, right now, I mean, if you jet it, couldn't that create even more problems eventually if it's in a bad situation?
Usually, if we jet it, that it'll extend the life of it. I mean, if you have one that's deteriorated so badly that you jet it and it busts a hole in it,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
you're
So
really
you're already there anyway, so it's like you got to do whatever. It's. I mean, you're obviously getting backed up on the sewer.
yeah.
one
If,
way or
if
the
it's to
other.
that point where the jetter's going to break a hole in it, it's already gone to a certain point where it's giving you a lot of trouble because it's not going to be free flowing and good to go, and all of a sudden you run a jetter through it and it collapses. That's not the case. It's going to give you many indicators before it gets to that point that it is collapsing and falling. It'll start with large chunks. That's going to be your biggest thing is large chunks of flakes that will deposit in the line. And as water passes through, they're going to collect in a bin like a 90 or 45. And then that's when you're going to have reduced water release. And when that happens, you're going to start building up paper. And so that's a good indicator that, somebody who's having to constantly jet it or clear line or worse yet, you have a snake ran through it because you want to use the snake as little as possible on 30-year-old cast iron because as it flops in there, it's actually busting off pieces of those flakes and depositing it in there. So a lot of times you'd prefer to use a jetter if possible.
I think it'd probably give you the longevity to it. It's funny that you say it because they went from cast iron to plastic, right? Is that insane?
Correct.
And even now we see trees have created problems with plastic, right? I mean, they grow into them or they make them buckle, and so the sewers break from plastic.
Well, the trees are really for any material.
Well, I'm sure with cast iron we'd probably kill it too.
Yeah, it'll
It seems
buckle
like
cast iron.
back in the day, though, they dug the pipes down a little bit deeper for some reason, right?
Well, I think back in the day they were actually a little more strategic about where they placed their vegetation in conjunction with the supply and the waste lines. It seems nowadays that a lot of your HOAs are putting them right in the way, and that's detrimental because these tree roots, no matter what kind of tree it is, it's going to seek out water. I mean, that's what it's made for. It's made to seek out water, and those roots are going to penetrate whatever it has to. I mean, if you can get a piece of blade of grass growing through a sidewalk, you're definitely going to get a tree root to grow through a pipe.
This is very true.
So what would be some good signs for new buyers, that walk in a condo and You know, they when they want to buy it, it is an older condo. I mean, should they see how fast the drains flow, or how fast the toilet flushes, to see if they potentially have flakes and a blockage in there? Or, I mean,
As a homeowner and somebody who's not a trained plumber, you're never going to recognize it. I mean, you may see it in a vanity, but that may not actually be the line. It may actually be the drain stopper in the vanity. Your best bet, if you have any kind of questions, call a plumber to come out and
Get the
camera that.
inspection out of Prevent, right?
That's it. Call
Don't
us.
fret.
Call Prevent.
What's that phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
That's right. Call Prevent Plumbing. I mean, right now we're talking about inspections on sewer lines. That's important for the audience to understand. I mean, we're telling you these things because there's lawsuits right now, right?
Yeah.
And then the lawsuits are based around, I mean, cast aluminum. I'm not sure what. I guess a lot of times attorneys can file lawsuits. I'm not sure if it's frivolous or not, but earplugs. When I was in the military, they told me to put my fingers in my ear when things went off. Now, military guys are getting earplug, I guess, replications. I'm not sure, but I mean, I think I can't hear anyways. It's probably good.
peanuts didn't work.
Well, Gerald, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, this is about, I mean, the sewer lines. I talked about, I mean, inspections. I mean, you just talked, Juan asked about that. I mean, if I was a homeowner, I'd want to make sure about inspections. And that's something you guys can do over at Prevent Plumbing, right?
Yeah, we definitely can.
And if I had to come out, I mean, what is the pricing if it was, something to do like that, just to come out and just drain it or sewer it, or what are we doing over there?
Well,
Taking mirrors down, Brian?
It's going to depend on the service you get. You know, we have, different rates for different inspections, so it really depends on what the customer wants to get into. If you're in a condo, though, I would advise first contacting your HOA because a lot of times we have to have permission to go into HOA lines, and so sometimes we're not even able to make that inspection without first clearing the HOA. But if you're planning on purchasing a condo, get with your realtor and make sure they're knowledgeable from your HOA as to what kind of lines you have in your wall. You want to make sure you know if you have copper, poly, if you want to have CPVC or PEX, what kind of supply lines do you have in your wall? As far as your drain, you want to ask your realtor, what do I have up underneath the building as well as in the wall? Because sometimes, they may come through and the walls are a lot easier to change out than it would be up underneath the building. So a lot of times they may change out your stack pipes, which are in the walls, to PVC, but there still may be cast iron up underneath the building. So that's something you want to verify with your realtor, who needs to get that information from the HOA before you make a purchase, because any purchase you have here in Collier County is going to be a large dollar purchase. And the last thing you want to do is to get brought into something and not have all the knowledge you need of that unit, and next thing you know, you end up with a disaster and you've just bought the place.
They should find out their bylaws.
That's correct.
Yeah, because that's going to let them know if there is some kind of an issue with something, whether it's covered by the HOA.
The
or if it's
HOA
gonna
is
be
almost like the one you get. I mean, it's a commander over there. So a
Yeah.
lot of times you got to get their. I mean, a lot of times you got to first qualify to walk in their door, right? You got to have their insurances. This is the things that we talk about from a standpoint of license. But a lot of times you get there and the HOA says you can't be in the building.
Right. But if you're going to be buying
Yes.
and spending that money, find out that information, because especially if it's an older property, right, Gerald? Like,
That's right.
definitely before 1976, you're probably going to have cast iron.
And
Unless
the
the
high
pipes have
rises are
been
that
changed
way
out.
still on Gulf Shore Boulevard. I mean, a lot of
Oh
them.
yeah.
Yeah, they are. But if they were built before 1976, that cast iron is probably towards the end of its life.
On the high rises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, any of them. So
yeah, any of the stuff that's been installed.
Old Naples
I'm just
downtown.
saying,
So
I see high rises all the time. I
Oh
open
yeah,
up
we walk
doors
through the
and there it is
garages
right there. Yeah,
we see
you
those rubber boots all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they change over.
Yeah, we make little notes on the calendar. We'll contact them 35 years from now.
35.
That's why I get my new
Mark on
car.
the pipe. I got 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks. Well, Joe, that's understanding for the audience. I mean, if you're out there and you're looking for a home or buying to purchase a condo, the years of that house or home. I mean, there's not a lot of homes in 1976, but there is. I mean, it's in some of the areas. But if you're out there purchasing a home or thinking about purchasing a home, call Prevent. I mean, Brian and Gerald will be more than happy to come out and give you an inspection, and even if it's a camera or whatever, jetting it. I mean, you can take care of it, right?
that's right.
That's right. Don't fret.
Call Prevent.
And that phone number?
239-596-5533. So, getting back to the guy who had the flood in his unit, the next thing that he did was he decided he didn't want to go with the remediation portion of it. And this is Category 3 water. I mean, there's raw feces, paper, everything on this floor. So he had basically a cleaning service come in, clean the floors. He had one of the local carpet cleaners come in, clean the carpets. I mean, this is carpet that should have been removed, period. And the padding, brought down the bare floor, scrubbed, clean, remediated appropriately, as well as walls cut.
That's
You're
not
talking
something
about
you can do with Febreze, is it?
no.
Or Lysol.
Lysol?
No, it says 99.9% of the germs, but that's not the case in
That's
this
not
case.
the germ we're talking about?
Not in this case.
Not
So,
when you see a floater.
yeah, this is breeding grounds for E. coli, and for that to get trapped in your baseboards and your drywall, I mean, that's just going to keep manifesting. And what's going to happen is it's going to create a breathing environment that is not suitable for anybody. But this is how he wanted to proceed with it, rather than pay out or have a claim turned in. And so these are things you have to be careful of.
Was this unit for sale, or was this unit already
Yeah,
purchased?
that was my question.
What
you know?
is this, a new unit?
Well, no, the unit was actually for sale. The realtor is the one who found it. They were going to show the unit and walked into this, but the buyers, I guess were not there. But the guy's selling the unit, period. And
So a lot of times, I mean, from an audience standpoint, what we're talking about is mold, obviously, is one issue, but water, I mean, sewer water, Category 3, Category 5, Category 9, whatever it is, it's water.
It's a whole different ballgame. E.
It's-
coli,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, we're talking about a little bit more different, I mean, from disease, right? So these are things that we're educating the audience, right, Juan? I mean, it's an educational thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm starting to get education about a lot of things right now. But a lot of times we want the audience to understand that purchasing a home, purchasing a condo, or wherever you're purchasing, to make sure some of the things that can be prevented would be an inspection of mold, right, and water damage. I mean, in the second breath, I would be the first person to say you're probably going to smell something in the padding once that happens. I'm only guessing.
no, I mean it's going to be everywhere. Like I said, the baseboards and the walls had absorbed this water because it traveled all through the unit. I mean, you could see water damage is in paper strode through the whole place. So
Well,
I would highly recommend anybody out there purchasing a home or a condo or anything, have air samples done, have a mold test done before you close on a property. Because if there has been anything, a Category 3 or anything like that, that's about your only chance of actually knowing. Because usually what will happen before it sells, they'll go in there, they'll put kilts on the wall, they'll put fresh paint, they'll
Make
make
it look
nice
pretty.
chocolate chip cookies the day of the, you know what I'm saying? The mask the smell. And the only way you're going to pick that up
Chocolate chip
is possibly through air samples or doing swab testings for mold.
yeah,
And-
your air samples are going to be your best bet, because no matter how much chemical they put on the wall to mask the odor, they're not going to change the spore count. They're not going to change the bacteria count that the air cell samples are going to pick up. Those are going to be exact, and those are going to tell you.
And we're not involved in that. We do remediation. We
Correct.
don't-
BK is only for remediation, not
We can do
air
assessments
test.
and remediation, but we cannot do sampling.
But you do have somebody that can do samples. and you
All
take
day
it.
long, we can refer you to somebody who can do a sample. So give us a call if you want. 239-398-9834.
What's that phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
Well, I guess one of the things I want to kind of chime in on that is, realtors say that, one of the things you should always look at is roofs, right? See how old the roof is, and also, ACs and see if they've been changed out recently. But when purchasing a home, you should actually be looking at your plumbing, which, not a lot
Or
of
in
people
their
don't
case,
say.
smelling.
Or smelling. That's an indicator right there, is to look at the plumbing. But, down here in Florida, we all worry about radon, right? Or and we get tested for that. But no one ever tests for mold.
I think it's because Florida is a mold. Florida, is the hottest place. The humidity factor. People don't recognize that the walls on concrete sweat during the summertime completely. If you look at your windows, they're not impact windows, but if you look at your windows in the mornings at 7:00 and you see sweat on the windows. I can tell you right straight now that there's sweat on the block wall on the inside. That's just the problem we have. I mean, a lot of times if you do and anybody of us know it, in a remodel situation, around the windows, when they take the drywall off and you're doing a renovation, or along the baseboards around those windows, is where you find a lot of mold. I mean, I can tell you it's turned black completely, right?
That's right.
Water gets in at the windows a lot of times. Around the showers, on the opposite sides, right? The shower pan goes bad, so the bottom of the floor, you can look at a wet probably spot going through the wall on the drywall. So people don't recognize, I mean, mold, in my opinion, is what causes half of the allergies in probably the state of Florida. I mean, right now, people are having pollen counts, and all we hear in the office right now is sneezing and sniffling.
Sneeze, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing about the toilets you were saying, or the windows you were saying, is a lot of times in condos you have a toilet right next to a window. So not only do you have the factor of a block wall sweating, a window sweating, and this water running down inside the wall, but you also factor in that you may have a wax ring on a toilet go bad and it's leaching up underneath the tile that you don't see it. Add those two factors together and you could have a severe case in a wall and you never know it, because a lot of times in the bathrooms here they do a tile floor and a tile baseboard.
Or a husband with bad aim.
Yeah, we've
We
seen
get called
those.
out for that.
A lot of aiming problems.
Well, they say, "Oh, I think we got a leak."
Oh, and your husband's
Yeah.
just been peeing on the wall the
Yeah,
whole time?
he's been pissing on the side of the toilet.
I don't think I want to be in that position
Yeah.
at that age. I think I'm just going to have a bucket around me or something. What do you think?
That age, the guy was like 20.
20? He must have been drunk then.
Oh, yeah.
Well, again, we talk about mold and remediation, and a lot of times from a watering standpoint. I mean, I want to get off the sewers. I'm starting to get a little bit, the end of the year, Gerald, nothing personal, but we want to talk about happy things, right? The new year's coming upon us, fellas, and we have to look forward to a good, prosperous year. And out there in the audience, we want the audience to give us an email over to American Tradesman. I want you to give me an email at ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. One of the things the past few weeks we've talked about is giving away dinners for Christmas, and we've given away Christmas dinners forever, right, Brian?
Yep.
I mean, we gave away those chicken dinners, those giblet dinners. Juan's never heard of giblets.
No, it's gizzards.
Oh, gizzards?
Gizzards for us.
Oh, I had gator. I told you
go.
I've been going to have gator for Christmas, so I had gator legs for Christmas. And you know what they say? Tastes just like chicken. What do you think? So listen, we talked about the new year coming upon us, and some of the things we're going to talk off on the new year about is bringing in new subcontractors to have some conversations with them. Me and Brian and Gerald and Juan are going to have our conversations with some of these contractors and even real estate agents and people that are out there that are small companies, that subcontractors out there that we can talk to. And if you have any questions, we want you to email to us. I say again, I want you to send me an email at theamericantrades.com. That's theamericantrades.com. Don't forget the AC, right, Gerald?
That's right.
Don't forget the AC at theamericantrades.com. That's AC at theamericantrades.com. So, Gerald, I wanted to talk a little bit more. I wanted to hear that story I want to finish off that story. Let the listeners hear that ending of that story. It was kind of nail biting just a minute ago. So go
Nail
ahead.
biting. I see it the wrong way.
Wait a minute. I told you I'm an electrician. I don't care about you guys. I can bite all the nails I want. Sorry. It was kind of nail biting.
So the guy is trying to sell the unit, and he's not going to list it as having any damages. The cleanup, like I said, was done by a cleaning service, had the carpets cleaned by a professional carpet cleaning company. That is not acceptable because that bacteria is still alive and flourishing in that unit, and he's going to pawn that off onto somebody. The HOA is going to repair the line up underneath the building, but, that's not going to give the new buyer any insight as to what happened there. You have press board cabinets because everybody knows that here in Florida, that's the biggest thing is press board cabinets, and that's leached up that Category 3 water and is just storing it for the right time for, those bacteria.
Makes the cabinet swell up a little bit. Makes them a bigger cabinet, right? Brian?
Well, not only that, but all that bacteria is going to flourish inside of the base of the cabinets now, as well as
Probably attract bugs. Think about it.
Exactly will, and it's going to release a bacteria, which is very harmful to people once this thing starts flourishing, because everybody here in Florida keeps their ACs way up high. in these condos usually. I mean, you go in there, a lot of times they're set at 76, 78 degrees, and that is a perfect breeding environment for any kind of bacteria. With the humidity level here the way it is in Florida and that temperature, I mean, that's really going to cause that bacteria to flourish, and that's going to go unrecognized until it poses a health risk. Somebody's going to wind up, in a hospital somewhere because of bacteria inhaling. And like I said, that's going to be, a big issue. So if you go to buy a condo, just spend a little bit of money. Put that in the clause for the purchase of the home to have it air sample tested, to have the lines done. I mean, just to have a thorough check on it. Don't go by just a home inspection because, a home inspector is going to go through and he's going to look on what he can see on the exterior, and he is not a plumbing professional. He is not an electrical professional. He's not a roofing professional. Bring in your own professionals. If you are going by that, his liabilities are limited, and if you read the fine line on what his home inspection says, you will see those limitations.
You know what? They don't even have to. They can call American Contracting, right, Juan?
Oh yeah, they could give American Contracting a call, electrical and AC. We got plenty of people here that we can refer out.
Yep. Call me over at American Contracting. You got those issues? I mean, we'll get this straightened around, right, Brian?
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, that community that we're talking about, I guarantee the person that purchases that home is probably going to be over the age of 60.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
I got to tell you, none of it's any good in me saying from mold standpoint, but you're right, Gerald. Go ahead, Gerald. I want to get over to that story and what happened at the end of this.
So I mean, the issue is still there. The guy, I don't know how far he is into the selling of the unit. We were contracted to repair the line. Of course, that got done, but the guy still, decided, hey, if I decide to use your services again in the future, but once again, he's selling the home, so he's going to pawn this problem off on somebody else. So always remember to do your own homework and check up on things.
How did you, the cast iron, one of the questions, I mean, did you repair the cast iron or did you replace it with PVC?
You replace it. I mean, there's no sense in repairing cast iron.
We dug a hole and tunneled underneath.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You tunnel underneath?
Yeah. We tunneled
So you cut
no.
the concrete and then you
No, we do it from the exterior.
Oh, so you went underneath from the back, outside. You just went back as far as you could?
No, we replace all of it.
Oh, really?
You don't leave any liabilities. That section you leave will be the section that'll
So
rupture.
here's another question. I mean, how far did you have to dig to get underneath there, or was it right there?
You don't never want to dig too far. That's for safety purposes. I mean, you can go probably safely up to 25, 30 feet, but you don't want to go any further than that.
Depends on the foundation and the structural, whether it's on pilings, grade beams.
So you dig right underneath it.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I know. That's what I'm looking at. Like, who's this guy?
Brian.
Well, the guys hate it because they got to dig a bigger hole from you.
Now I know why you're running in front of him.
Who's going under that building? Oh, shit, not him.
Well, listen, I mean, that's an important thing with it you're talking about because it's one thing about mold, right? I mean, and we're not talking about, I mean, the creatures of what's coming out after the problem, but we're talking about cast iron that's gone bad. And most likely, if it's 1975, right, Gerald?
Yeah.
If it's 1975, that means it's probably at a point of life expectancy of the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And these are things that the homeowner needs to be aware of from a home to a condo, correct?
That's correct.
Well, this show is about, education. We talk every week about permits, licensing, insurance. This week we're talking about sewer lines, and sewer lines are part of the main brain that goes into a home or a condo. I mean, if you don't have electricity, right, Juan, you can't turn it on. But more importantly, if you don't have flow, you can't go.
As we see during hurricane season,
How you like that?
as we see during hurricane season, you might can go a couple of days without electricity, but you go one day without sewer,
Oh, yeah.
you got issues.
Once it comes back into the tub in a 5-minute span, you know what's going on, right? Yeah, there's towels flying all over the place. I mean, people are screaming. Things ain't happy. Well, listen, we wanted to kind of jump off of the New Year's resolution of cleaning your sewer lines out, right? That's
right.
That's your New Year's resolution, right, Gerald?
Yeah, get it cleaned up
Get it cleaned up,
before
right,
it backs
Brian?
up.
That's right. Before you can't go, right?
Yep.
There's no flow without going, right? Well, we wanted to get into the New Year's resolutions also to talk about electricity, right, Juan?
Yes.
Taking down the Christmas lights is something people are going to be doing now.
Oh, just leave them on all year long.
Do we keep the rubber tape on there, Brian, or is that just something we're going to take
Yeah,
off?
it's biodegradable.
Biodegradable. There we go.
Well, Juan, a lot of people may be leaving them up for a few weeks, but a lot of people are taking them down. And we want people to recognize that now is the time to people to look at the cords that are in those water that's been raining, right?
Oh, yeah,
in the
rain.
ponds, and people leaving the cords in there. And you want to pay attention to when you unplug them, right, Juan?
Pay attention to unplug them. Make sure that you unplug them safely.
Safely is part of what we talk about a lot of times. Sewer is safety. I mean, electricity is safety. A lot of times we want the audience to understand sometimes it may not be about high voltage, right, Juan?
Also about low voltage
It's also about low voltage. People don't understand the difference between AC,
and DC.
and that doesn't mean, Brian.
I'm still figuring that one out. AC, DC.
Just stay over there on that side, and we'll figure it out later together. Maybe not. All right?
Some say he's been thunderstruck.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, again, we were talking about low voltage, Juan, and a lot of people don't recognize them a lot of times when people get a whole kit. And I say a whole kit, they can get trees installed with landscaping, and they can get bushes installed with landscaping. They can get flowers installed with landscaping.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they give a little kit of low voltage landscaping lighting.
Yep.
And I'm going to touch base just a little bit on low voltage in the county. I'll just go with Collier County, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't recognize that low voltage is inspected in Collier County. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's its own little category.
And it has its own little license, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times low voltage is about, most of the time, alarm systems.
Yes.
Stereo systems, people don't recognize that. Maybe they don't understand that low voltage can count for audio, video, security, meaning cameras. And a lot of times people don't recognize, I mean, from that standpoint, about landscape lighting.
Yes. Landscape lighting.
And landscape lighting is kind of a side of our job that sometimes we end up having to do a lot of repairs, right, Juan?
Yeah, it's not the best side of it.
A lot of times the repairs are made based on how deep they put the wire. Is that
Yeah,
right?
a lot of times they're just they're shallow, very, very shallow.
So with a lot of times, I know a lot of homeowners will take a shovel, right, Brian, and take a pick out, and you go about 4 inches down, and then I scrape it. Or in a landscaping world, they take that mulch that they do, and they put the wire down first, and then they spray the mulch over top of it, right?
Yeah, they just cover it with the mulch.
So a lot of times, I mean, in our world, we'll get a call back and say there's cuts all over the place, and we got to redo all the landscape lighting.
Yeah, I mean, we don't just get the wires together and just splice them. We have to run them on you.
So a lot of times, what I want to do is I want to educate today about low voltage lighting, right, Juan?
Yes.
And so, Juan, talk to me about landscape lighting and the process, because a lot of times people will call me up. It used to be with incandescent. People would say, man, the light fixture that's all the way to the end is what? Dim, right?
Dim.
And why is that?
Well, a lot of times what ends up happening when you have dim fixtures at the very end is the gauge of the wire is too small.
That's right. What's that called?
Voltage drop.
That's right. And a lot of times voltage drop causes a lot of things for problems with a lot of things, not so much as lighting. Motors would cause it, pumps, right, Brian? I mean, the distance is what we create wire size. So when a landscape lighting guy goes from one light, right,
To another light,
he keeps looping and looping.
and it causes issues. And the thing with voltage drop is that it not only does it put a strain on the equipment, it's providing power to, but it puts a strain the source that's providing the power. It causes resistance. So what ends up happening at the end of the day for a transformer or a breaker or whatever the case may be, you're pulling a lot more current.
The smaller the wire, the harder it is. I mean, I give people the scenario of a garden hose. If you take a 3/4 garden hose, and a lot of times people don't understand that you take a 3/4 garden hose and put water through it, you're only going to get a certain amount of water, right, Brian? So from electricity, if I put a 1/2-inch garden hose, right, Juan? I mean, it's going to give me only half that water. So a lot of times, if a person uses voltage drop for a light fixture, from an electrical standpoint, we want what's called equal lengths for the wires, right?
Yeah, we want to make sure that, the right gauge wires ran, distance has always got to be in consideration, and for on our side, the theory is, the voltage goes lower, amperage goes higher, and vice versa. So, if you're having a voltage drop issue, you're going to be consuming more power. And then what happens is the lamp at the end loses life. It shortens the life of the lamp.
we see it with LED a lot, right?
Yeah. So with the new technology of LED, you have to design that system correctly, whether the LED is going to be constant current or constant voltage, and if it's on the voltage side, then if you got low supplied voltage on that end, then you're going to have the same issue as
Dimming
dim light at the very end, where a constant current, you'll be fine, but you're running into issues as how you design it. So it's not as simple as a plug and play, and I see that mistake happen a lot.
Well, I want the audience to understand that landscape lighting has to have a license. I'm telling you that right now. You have to have a low voltage license. I'm telling you that right now. That is a code in the National Electrical Code. You have to have a low voltage license to put in landscape lighting. And most people see it as, what if I went to Home Depot and bought it out of the box store, right?
Yeah.
And they say, well, I can put it in, right?
Mm-hmm. They say that all the time.
But that's the same way as me buying a water heater, right, Brian? They can put it in.
You can put it in, but if you flood your house because you put it in wrong, that's on you.
Well, the problem is, I think with low voltage landscape lights, you can't get too much. I mean, you can get shocked.
You can get shocked, but I mean, the issue is that if it's designed incorrectly, then you have X amount of dollars that you purchase into materials that it's not even working correctly.
A lot of times, I mean, landscape lighting for me, I'm a little bit of a freak about it, right, Juan?
Yeah.
I got a lot of landscape lights.
For the men in the bushes.
Yeah. When you're driving by, you think it's an airport. That might be his house.
That may be it. It's a glow in the dark. But what a lot of people don't recognize from landscape lighting is now that the LED has become the world, they can just run wire hundreds and hundreds of feet, right?
Well, no. I mean, let's not do that, because if they run hundreds of feet, then, like I said, it's going back. That's the typical thing that happens is, hundreds of feet of wire are ran, but it's not designed correctly, and you're having an issue.
Throw it in the sprinkler pipe ditch, right?
Yeah. If you have new irrigation, and they'll just throw the line in the irrigation trench and go that route.
And that's only probably about 6 or 8 inches down, right?
Yeah.
And what's the code required on that?
18 inches.
18 inches. So if you see, or if you've hired someone that has done landscape lighting in your home, be clearly understanding that the low voltage wire, that zip cord, I call it, right?
Yeah.
That they provide at Home Depot at the box stores, dig it down 18 inches. That's the reason why you're repairing it, because the weed eater guy.
Yeah, the edger guy, or just like what you said earlier, if you go with a shovel and you go down 4 inches and you hit it,
it's like the cable company.
That's an issue.
That's the cable company. They're down 4 inches, right there.
So you think about how deep is a spade shovel? I would say about 12 inches.
12, right.
10 to 12 inches. So you're well below that with the 18-inch mark.
Yeah, dig the shovel down, 1 shovel and a half, and you're good.
The shovel and a half, and you're good.
And not to say it, I want the audience to understand about low voltage lighting. It is electrical, because a lot of times what happens is a guy will say, well, I can set up transformers, right, locally in your yard, and that means what?
Well, you need electrical ran if you're going to set them locally like that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times they'll say I can run UF cable, right?
Yeah, UF cable they'll run sometimes.
In the same ditch is that sprinkler wire.
Yeah.
And the same ditch is that sprinkler pipe.
Yeah.
And that puts it down 120 volts, 12 volts, and water, right, Brian, with a sprinkler pipe in the same ditch.
In the same ditch.
Is that smart? I'm just guessing. I mean, I don't want to be the guy
would say that's
fixing
not
sprinkler
smart.
systems, but I want people to understand that that's how drastic. If a guy says I can move your outlets over here, right?
Yeah.
He can put a transformer somewhere locally. That means he's moving 120 volts, and that means he's probably going to be running the 12 volts. In all of that essence, it's illegal for him to do that, unless he's a licensed electrical contractor.
Yeah, and then if you get an electrician out there, he'll give you the options. I like to give you the options as how to design it and whatnot. What really gets me is you see just the wrong fixtures pointing at the wrong landscaping.
A lot of times with the bulbs too. Bulbs. I used to be a long time ago. California used to start sending catalogs, and they were cans. I mean, it just looked like a can with a piece of wire coming out.
Yeah,
and it all became with incandescent. I mean, it's changed. We've had to evaluate our own lives in the LED world and understand it. But a lot of times it's the way you have a bulb put into a can that makes the difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like you said with the PVC, I mean, the Part 36 low voltage lamp was the lamp to go to back in the day. Now, with LEDs, the biggest problem was, can I hit a 35-foot Royal Palm?
Yeah.
You know, and you can do that nowadays with a 12-volt fixture.
You guys can even set that up so they could probably do it from their automated at home, like if they were up north, right?
Well, that's the other part. You know, what Anthony mentioned was that, you know, they'll put transformers, you know, locally. But my biggest thing with that is now you got 3, 4, sometimes I've seen 6 transformers, you know, with all different timers. Who wants to run around and reset all those timers? Or they put photo cells. So now you'll have one side of your house lit up. 15 minutes later, the other side lights up. The back side then lights up after that a half hour later. It's not consistent.
Or they got a switch in the front and a switch in the back.
Yeah.
I know
Switch
when
on
you
the
guys,
pole.
When you guys did Transformers low voltage lighting at my house back in like 2003, you guys ran conduit, everything. I mean, it was professional.
One of the things I haven't touched base on just yet is that pipe is part of the code from a commercial application in low voltage. So understand, if you're a high rise or a condo and they're doing work on the front islands, that's commercial for us. That's considered low voltage. And that's considered a pipe has to be in the ground by code, right?
I mean, even in the residential side, I'm always going to be on the pipe side. I'm always going to say, let's run conduit, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a house that it has its landscaping done 15 years ago. And the wire in the ground's, you know, underneath the palm
Snapped,
tree,
burned
snapped
up.
in half, you know, UF cable that's cut, you know, it just becomes an issue. And where we have conduit, well,
Pull it out and put it back in.
pull it out, put another one in, and you're good to go.
Or actually, we find the breaks, right? Or we have one of those magical wands. We can just find the wire in the
Yeah,
ground.
we have a line tracer. We can just attach the line tracer to it.
Right. So a lot of people out there in the audience, I mean, I'm educating you on the low voltage side because a lot of times people just think that I can hire the landscaper. I don't want to put him out there, but he can hire the landscaper. Yep. I'm going to go over this again. He can hire the handyman guy, right? I mean, even though he can't put in the blades or he can't put in the motor, he can put in the lights. I seen a truck going down the road the other day. I sent you that picture. Remember?
Yeah.
It says on there ceiling fans and light fixtures. A handyman cannot legally put in the ceiling fans or any type of electricity other than changing the blades out on the fan. Right, Juan?
Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, going back to the landscape lighting, you know, with design, you know, a lot of times a spotlight is put in the wrong position, a floodlight used in the wrong spot. You know, you always got to go back down to the photometrics. How is that beam going to hit?
A lot of times, you know, one of the things that we insist on is an as-built set of drawings once the project's done, right?
That would save a lot of time in the future.
So people out there that get a landscape lighting and then they call us out and they say, well, I got 100 in the back and 100 in the front. And the next thing you know, they say, I don't even know how they turn on, right?
Yeah, and then, you know, so here we are, you know, trying to trace it all out, try to figure out how it was ran.
A lot of times it is not easy to try to figure out if a guy looped a wire to it, or actually from a lot of the right ways, we used to do equal distance
Yes.
for the light fixture. So you would find a center point, and most of the time I would put my transformer where that center point was and then feed out equal distance
You branch out from there.
for the light fixture so that I didn't have voltage drop.
Yep.
And we had a controlling point of where we started and where we stopped on the landscape lighting. So don't limit yourself over to American Electrical, right? Why, Juan?
Yeah, and I'll just throw this out there, a little trade secret. You know, you always loop back.
Loop back. That's right.
You always loop back.
That's right.
So some of you might be wondering what that means is, you know, so after you hit your transformer and you loop out to one string of lights, you run another line all the way back to the transformer.
That's a smart move.
Yep. You always loop back. The reason being you do that is, one, if you get a cut in the line, you have a secondary line to feed that other half that got disconnected.
That's not something you can be taught. That's something somebody's got to teach you over the years, right, Juan?
Yep.
It's a smart thing. Like I said, over at American Electrical, what's that phone number, Juan?
239-353-4389.
239-353-4389. All of us are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right, Juan?
Yes, sir.
And Brian, you guys are open over at Prevette, right, for 24/7?
24/7.
Christmas is over, but New Year's is coming up. These are when the big parties start to come out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times they've just clogged up a little bit from Christmas. It may take us right over the top, right on New Year's Eve parties, right?
Yeah, amateur night.
Yeah, amateur
Oh,
night.
boy.
It is amateur night. That is definitely a true statement. I will be inside watching the ball drop, that's
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. Maybe a little bit of popcorn. I may be asleep, Gerald, by the time this all happens.
I definitely will be.
I will tell you that New Year's Eve, I have a very, very good feeling about New Year's Eve and next year, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
Juan, I have a good feeling about next year. I feel it. It's a 2020 year. That's the most important thing, 2020, right?
Trump.
2020, 2020.
Now, you guys going to put up New Year's lights?
No more Christmas. We wanted to give a shout out to Joe Sullivan, Brian and Prevet's good friend of ours that we did, and
Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for using us.
we love you, Joe. We thank you, and we love Brian and his brother Gerald. I mean, BK now. It's BK, right?
Yeah.
BK. Tell them what it is. That phone number again.
It's 239-398-9834.
That's right. Don't fret.
Call Privet.
What's that phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
Well, the new year is upon us and it's coming about. I wanted to thank the audience for listening to us. We have a new program coming up at the first of the year. We can't wait to start it again because it's going to be a lot more interesting. And, you know, we joke around a lot of times. I mean, it keeps it light. It doesn't make it so detrimental to the life, right? I mean, we talk about floaters. I'm not sure about the floaters and the screens, and Brian loves mirrors. I don't know how.
What was the mirrors?
It's a mirror thing. He takes them down off the wall for somebody. I don't know. But we do joke around a lot because it's just the way we are. We're subcontractors, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah. You got to laugh.
We are the subcontractors of the world. We are the American Tradesman, right?
That's right.
That's right.
There's no shame in our game.
No, none at all.
Well, maybe Brian's, but
Just my dancing. I mean,
Just like dancing.
well, listen. I wanted to go back over some things that we talked about with the sewer and the electric, and I wanted to touch base a little bit more on that low voltage because some of the things we do from automation standpoint with alarms.com is some of the things that we can take care of also, right?
Yeah, it is something that we can take care of with alarm.com. And I wanted to touch base on the phone lines, actually, with the low voltage. Yeah, so I ran into a call the other day to where they were having issues with their phone lines in their home. And, you know, they had a legacy office phone system in their home where they had a home office. And the issue they were having is nothing against, Hotwire, but Hotwire, they changed over to Hotwire. And ever since that happened, they were having issues with the phone lines. It was a digital phone line. So they had 3 phone lines in their house, and they kept hearing popping and static. So, after running through a few people, they could not find anyone who can actually work on their system. Now, anyone who has been inside these larger homes with structured panels or media panels, they're never pretty. They're spaghetti. You've got video cameras, you've got cable, you got
Maybe
phone,
one wire's
Ethernet.
not punched down to the other right wire.
Yeah, it's a mess. So, when I walk in the door, that's the first thing I'm told. You're not going to like what you see.
Brian, have you heard that? Have you heard that before, Brian? I know you had. He's not gonna like. If I walked in and Brian came in, I'd say that to him. But in the electrical world, we're talking about a phone jack. You're not gonna like what you. You're not gonna like what you see. I'm
Yeah,
scared.
that's what I was told.
There wasn't Brian, wasn't there? Was
Well,
it?
no, Brian wasn't there.
Brian
was not behind the door.
Go ahead, Juan.
So I'm like, okay, well, no worries. I mean, I'm used to it. I'm used to it already. So, me and the technician take the panel cover off, and I mean, it was like
War zone.
I mean, it was a war zone. I mean, you could just tell that the
Everybody's
panel
took it
cover.
apart?
Put it this way: the panel cover had a bow in it.
I thought you were gonna say a panel cover popped out on you.
Well, it was under
Touched
pressure.
it, yeah.
So, I'm holding it back, and the technician's unscrewing the screws to take the cover off. And I mean, it just fell out. It just fell out. So
Relax, Brian. Not everything falls out.
So yeah, they're running issues with the phone lines, popping and staticky and whatnot, and then they said some of the jacks aren't working. Hotwire, this is the word. They said Hotwire took a look at it, and they said we won't deal with it. We won't look at it. They didn't want to touch it.
Hotwire is the internet company like Comcast, right?
Yeah. So that
Do
Hotwire.
they do internet and
Well,
phone
it's,
service?
it's
or-
fiber optic,
Oh,
and
fiber,
it's
that's
fiber
right.
optic, and they provide the internet and they provide the phone lines. You know,
They did that to a lot of places, like the vineyards they took over, and then they had a lot of problems when they changed over from
Well, that's
regular
what-
lines to
that's what I
fiber.
explained was when back in the day in the vineyards when Comcast took over, that was the big issue is when they started when they changed over to adding the phone lines through digital.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest issue. So, from back then, I was already used to it. And same hot wire, that's what I explained to the client. I was like, well, when Comcast came out, it was an issue, but they figured that out. And we figured it out with them. So with hot wire didn't want to deal with it. So, of course, I understand that. They had a phone system in there.
They only go to a certain point anyway.
Yeah, they only go to a certain point. Well, and then, too, their technicians are only trained to install their equipment, not to troubleshoot.